I thought he's safe. He's with people who are going to care for him, and I really, really felt that he was going to be in a safe place.
At 6 p.m, Richard, Edward's father, calls the hospital.
Richard rang the hospital to find out if he'd settled in, and they said, sorry, we don't seem to be able to find him, we're not sure where he is.
Panic-stricken, Richard calls Joy to tell her their son is missing. A search gets underway.
It's the hardest thing because the relief went within a couple of hours to absolute anxiety of him being missing.
Meanwhile, Edward gets off the train at Reading station. He makes his way up to the top floor of the station car park. He sits down for a short while with a sandwich, some orange juice, his cigarettes and a lighter.
He jumped and there was nothing, there was no going back. You know, it was too late. But to break both his elbows, he must have put his hands down to try and break his fall to stop himself. And when he lay there, he was semi-conscious, and the hardest thing in all the world was the fact that I wasn't there. I wasn't there to hold him, to talk to him, to tell him that I was there, and to comfort him.
Only a few hours after leaving Edward at the Fairmile, the Best family are drawn together again at Royal Barts Hospital.
My brother James and his girlfriend were there, and my dad, and they said they'd identified him by a scar on his neck where he tried to cut his throat the first time.
The doctor, he said, your son is hurt from head to foot. There isn't a part of his body that hasn't been damaged, and that he's 95% close to death.
Edward Best died at 3:24 p.m. on Easter Monday, the 1st of April, 2002. He was 20 years old.
It was 1 year, 2 months and 26 days ago that Edward died. To me, that's not very long. But to lots of people, they feel you're over it now. But for me and my family, it's still very, very early days, and it's still very painful.
Joy Courtney lives in Bluebury, Oxfordshire with her second husband, Nigel. Just over a year ago, Joy's 20-year-old son Edward committed suicide by jumping from a car park in Reading. Joy has still not accepted his death and is full of regret.
There's a lot that goes through my head of, could I have done something different? Was it me? Was it the way I brought him up? Did I not show him enough love? Did I not do something that should have been done when he was younger?
Nigel lost his first wife of 23 years to cancer. With his personal experience of grief, he is a constant support to Joy.
Certain things that Joy does, certain things that Joy says, I can remember feeling similar feelings and having similar thoughts. It perhaps makes it easy to understand when a young person dies, or a younger person. I think that it's far more difficult to cope with.
Joy was previously married to Richard Best. They had 3 children, Emma, James and Edward. Edward was 15 when his parents separated.
He was a normal, healthy little boy, very mischievous, very, very outgoing. He was one of those children that if you said, don't touch that, it'll burn you, he would touch it just to make sure that I was right, and he might even question why it burnt him. And that was the sort of child he was.
As a student, Edward lived with Joy while attending art college in Henley. He was not long into his art course when he dropped out. His behaviour changed, and it became clear that he was suffering from more than just teenage rebellion.
He was starting to put things up against his bedroom door when he went to bed at night. He thought I was spying on him, and he thought Nigel was spying on him, and he was getting really, really odd.
Initially, his behaviour was put down to depression, but Edward, not satisfied, began his own research on the internet.
How old was he when he said to us that he thought he was schizophrenic?
17.
17.
Yeah.
And it was like, I thought to myself, oh, is this something he's been reading about or something he's been,
that, yeah.
you know, and it's...
I felt completely helpless. I was worrying the whole time. I couldn't find out what was wrong. I couldn't understand what was wrong.
Schizophrenia was diagnosed a year later. Edward's paranoid fears and delusions are a classic symptom of this disorder, a disorder that is the most severe mental illness among young people.
There was pain of trying to accept that your son is schizophrenic. If it was frightening for me, what it must have been like for Edward, it must have been absolutely terrifying.
Edward's tragedy is all too common. Young men are more likely to die by their own hand than be killed in a car crash. Suicide is now the biggest single cause of death of young men in their 20s.
This is Edward. His life, 2 decades. That's all there was of him. That was a bandana. It's filthy, but I can still smell him on it, so I don't wash it or do anything. He used to wear that, and he wore the baseball cap over the top, and that was one of the signs of knowing how bad he was, because he'd have that on and that. And the return ticket he would have had if he'd have come back instead of jumping. But he made a little chicken in a basket, so that's quite precious. He was only about 3 or 4. Emma used to do all sorts of things with him when he was tiny. She used to make things, and she was like a second mum, really, to him.
Now 34, Emma was 12 years older than her brother Edward. She lives near to Joy and Nigel, and often comes over to walk their dogs.
I find it's quite good if I come for a walk and I am feeling a bit down about Edward, or he's been on my mind a lot, and it brings back a lot of memories, because when Edward was very little I used to take him out when I'd look after him when my mum was at work and things like that. Find a stick! When he very first died, I remember the feeling I just wanted to go out there and tell everybody. I felt like everybody should know that my brother had died, and everyone should know what he'd been like and what a great person he was and how unfair it all was. So, I don't know. I just wish I could have taken it away and made it all go away for him, but no, I couldn't. But he shouldn't be dead. He should still be alive. It's just so hard to think that I'm never ever going to see him again. When he first died, both me and my mum had admitted, because we tried a support group, SOBS, and we both admitted there that we both had similar thoughts of taking our own lives, taking it, you know. And I said I just wanted to make sure he was all right. Felt like I still wanted to go up and look after him wherever he is. I wanted to go and make sure he was okay. And when we both found out we'd both had the same sort of thoughts, that was quite hard. But, you know, afterwards we both talked about it and we both agreed that, you know, however bad we felt, we'd never ever do anything like that.
But 14 months later, Joy broke this pact with Emma. she tried to take her own life.
It was just, I was so much pain. So much pain. I didn't know how to handle it. I just wanted to go to sleep. Could not feel it anymore. So I started taking my antidepressants. I was due to take one. I took one. Then I pushed another one out, and I took a sip of water, and I just kept doing it. It was like automation. It was like I was outside my body, watching myself doing it. I wasn't thinking. I just needed all the pain to go away. I couldn't believe so much pain. And Nigel came in. He said, "What are you doing?" And I just said, "I want out. I want to be dead. I don't want any more pain. I want it to go away."
Joy was rushed to hospital. Emma was broken-hearted.
To find out that she had felt that bad, that she had actually tried to kill herself, it was just real shock, I suppose. It's just horrible. But luckily she didn't, and hopefully she's going to be all right. I mean, she says she's never ever going to do anything like that again, and she regrets doing it, and I just hope she doesn't, because of the thought of her not being around, and we're so close at the moment, and the only one I can really talk to about about Edward and what we miss and all the rest of it. I just don't know what I'd do if I lost her as well.
I still can't believe that I did that. I just don't understand why, and I felt absolutely awful the next morning because Emma came. She was so upset, and I felt so awful to put her through that. And I thought, how can I do that? I'd already gone through it with Edward, and there I was doing it again for Emma. Start thinking about doing this punch this time.
It's 2 months since Joy attempted suicide, and she is trying to move on. She and Nigel are having a party. This is the first time she's done any entertaining since Edward died 16 months ago.
I don't mix very well now. I used to be quite outgoing or bubbly. I used to like meeting people, and I used to like entertaining. We'd have people round for meals and things, and I haven't done that since Edward died.
How are you?
Nice to see you. And you?
Hello.
Don't mind the film. Bits, you know. You put on a front because you know people expect you to be in a certain way, but you don't actually feel any of it. It's an act, and everybody else side looks in and thinks, well, they're okay, they're coping, but what they don't see is what's inside, and that's all little broken bits that you can't put together.
For Joy, though, the party is overshadowed by a disturbing coincidence. Earlier in the week, Joy and Emma drove past Reading Station car park for the first time since Edward died. To their horror, someone had just leapt to their death.
Quite horrible, really. It's unreal. you know, you wouldn't sort of think anything like that would actually happen. It's a chance in 1,000 that, you know, all the years I've lived here, to go to Reading, and that has happened after it already happened to me. Just imagining what some other family was going through, and that someone else was probably in intensive care with somebody, that person's family, and what they must be going through now.
Was when we were woken up by police knocking on the door very loudly. Policeman said, "Do you have a daughter who lives in Reading?" I mean, I knew what the next sentence was going to be. You don't really want to accept your daughter's died. It's not really on top of your list of wishes. And then you don't particularly want to accept that they've committed suicide. That's not great either.
Like Edward, Claire Roderick also jumped to her death from a car park in Reading. She left only her shoes behind. She was just 27 years old.